Hey loves, welcome back. This one is a little heavier. Okay, much heavier, but it needs to be said. It's important. If you've ever been in a place where you didn't want to be here anymore, this message is for you. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and as always, use your own discernment. Disclaimer, this message includes honest talk about suicidal thoughts and wanting to leave this life. It is not meant to encourage or glamorize suicide in any way, and it's not here to shame anyone who has lost someone to suicide or made that choice themselves, whether in this life or another one. So, trigger warning. This is a transmission for the ones who have been there in their mind and their heart and are still here. This message is for a very specific group of souls. It's for the ones who have thought about ending it. The ones who have stood at the door and seriously considered walking through. But they're still here. If that's not you, you're still welcome to listen with compassion. But if it is you, this is especially for you. So when I was channeling recently, Spirit brought up suicide in a very direct way. They showed me that, of course, it's not a joke, not as a label, not as a threat, but as kind of a transaction, a door, a crossing. And they made it very clear. This is a controversial topic, and I am meant to speak on it. People judge, people fear it, people talk around it, but they still wanted to talk to the ones who have been there. So some things I heard. First, a door you've opened, the most unbelievable leaders. And what I felt in my body was this. Some of the strongest leaders on this planet are the ones who have stood on the brink of death by their own hand and did not go through. You know what it feels like for life to hurt that much. You know how loud the thoughts can get. You know how convincing the exit can sound. And you know what it's like to wake up the next day still here. Spirit showed me that there's a lot of misinformation and judgment around suicide. Things like it's selfish, it's cowardly, it's unforgivable, it's a mortal sin. And sometimes the opposite, that it's the only way out, that it's peaceful. It is romanticized a lot of times as well. And Spirit said both extremes are distortions. Because from their perspective, no soul is ever reduced to their exit. A life is not a failure because it ended in pain. And at the same time, suicide does interrupt what a soul came to experience and create in that body. It's not a moral crime. It's not a prize. It's a door that closes certain possibilities and opens others. And many of you watching this have stood in front of that same door, hand on that handle or that doorknob, and stayed. Spirit called us keepers of keys. Not gatekeepers deciding who lives and who dies, but souls who know where that door is and can talk honestly about it without glamorizing it, without judging it, and without lying about how heavy it feels. You are the ones who can say, I know what it's like to want to leave. I know what it's like to question whether I matter, whether any of it matters. And I know what it's like to stand crying in the shower, wanting to just disappear. I know what it's like to be that tired. And I also know what it's like to still be here, to keep breathing, to eventually find reasons to stay, even when I couldn't see them at the time. That is leadership. That is healing. Not the Instagram version, not the polished spiritual bypass. But leadership and healing is in, I've been in the dark, I have been to the brink, I have seen the brink, and I will not pretend I haven't. Some of you feel guilty even for having those thoughts. Some of you think it disqualifies you from being a healer, a teacher, or a chosen one. Spirit is saying the opposite. It is because you have been there that you can hold space for others who are there now. Now, that doesn't mean that you trauma dump every detail. It doesn't mean that you owe the internet your whole story. It means you don't have to hide the fact that you've been to that edge. Now, let's shift gears a little bit. In numerology, the word suicide reduces to the number 7. And 7 is the number of the inner world, the hidden, the spiritual depths. Most of that battle happens inside where nobody can see it, right? And then we have the word leader, which also came through, like I said, and that reduces to a 9. 9 is the one who is seeing the ending of things, who carries humanitarian energy, who says, I don't want anyone else to suffer alone the way that I did. Many of you are 7 souls and 9 souls, keepers of mysteries and finishers of cycles. You didn't survive just to go back to pretending everything is fine. You survived to become living proof that a life can be rebuilt after the brink. So if you've ever stood at that door, I want to say this to you directly. You are not bad or dirty for having those thoughts. You are not weak for wanting the pain to stop. You are not less spiritual because your awakening path included wanting to leave. You are still here. And that matters more than you know. You have keys now. Keys of language, keys of empathy, keys of I've been there, lived experience, and no one can take those from you. But Spirit's inviting you to a new chapter. Not where you're constantly rescuing others from the ledge, but where your existence, your honesty, your mission naturally calls people back toward life. I won't lie to you. You guys know this. There were nights I didn't want to be here. There were showers where I wished I could just disappear. But I am here. And there is something on the other side of that pain that I could not see at that time. That's not weakness. That's spiritual authority. Spirit also offered an affirmation for anyone that this message is for the ones who have been there but stayed. So I'm going to read to you now the message that came through for you. I honor the version of me who wanted to leave. I honor the pain that took me to that door. I honor the part of me that stayed. I choose to live my mission unapologetically, no matter what I have been through. I am a keeper of keys. I use them to open paths back to life, not to lock myself out of it. Thank you, Spirit. Now take a breath, because that's a lot. And it's deep. If you feel safe to share, you can say, I'm still here in the comments, so other souls know that they're not alone. You don't owe anyone your whole story unless you want to give it, but you're allowed to exist as proof that being on the brink is not the end of your worth. You are not disqualified. You are needed. Sending you light, love, and healing, and I hope this helped.